Brexit did of course not happen immediately after the Brexit referendum in 2016. There were exhausting negotiations between the UK and the EU, first about the exit of the UK and then about the future relationship between the EU and the UK. After the official Brexit on January 31st in 2020, where the UK officially left the EU and with it the Parliament, there was a transitional period until December 31st in 2020 to implement the new relationship, and first to find one, of course. There are some longer transitional periods for some areas. Euroclearing is one example, but this was the main one. And people are talking a lot about the level of preparation for Brexit on the different sides, or on one side, the lack of preparation. So in a few of my videos, I will give you an overview about the extent of preparations by different countries involved. And of course, I already did the UK and I will also do the EU. And today, I will tell you about the preparations in Ireland. Before the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020, Ireland made extensive preparations to mitigate the potential impact of Brexit. The Irish government recognized the significance of Brexit for the country, particularly due to the shared border with the north, which would become the only land border between the European Union and the United Kingdom. The Irish government aimed to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland, which could undermine the peace and the peace process and disrupt cross-border trade. To achieve this, they prioritized the preservation of the Good Friday Agreement. That's a peace accord signed in 1998. Ireland worked closely with the EU to ensure the issue of the border was given prominent attention during the negotiations. The potential reintroduction of customs controls between Ireland and Northern Ireland was a significant concern. The Irish government invested in new infrastructure, increased staffing at ports and airports, and implemented new customs procedures to handle any changes in trade flows. They also encouraged businesses to register for an economic operators registration and identification. That's the EORI and the certain number you need, which was necessary to continue trading with the UK. The Irish government recognized that Brexit could have adverse economic effects, particularly on sectors closely tied to the UK market, such as agri-food and manufacturing. They established financial supports and grants to help businesses adapt to new trading conditions, to diversify markets and develop contingency plans. These measures aim to mitigate potential job losses and economic disruption. The Irish government engaged extensively with businesses, with industry representatives and community groups to understand their concerns and provide guidance. They established dedicated agencies and support units to provide information, advice, and assistance to businesses affected by Brexit. Regular communication channels were established to keep stakeholders informed about developments and changes in regulations. Ireland actively engaged with other EU member states, but also EU institutions and the European Commission throughout the Brexit negotiations. They worked to ensure that the EU's negotiating position reflected Ireland's unique concerns, particularly with regard to the border issue. Ireland emphasized the importance of maintaining a close relationship with the EU, especially within the single market and the customs union. The Irish government engaged in comprehensive contingency planning exercises to assess the potential impact of different Brexit scenarios. They analyzed various aspects, including trade disruption, regulatory changes, and the impact on sectors like agriculture, fisheries, and tourism. And these exercises helped identify potential challenges and develop strategies to address them effectively. Recognizing the unique challenges faced by different sectors, the Irish government provided targeted support to industries most affected by Brexit. For example, they established the Brexit loan scheme, offering low-cost loans to eligible businesses to support their working capital needs. Specific measures were implemented for the agri-food sector, which has significant trade ties with the UK, to help diversify markets and support export growth. And the Irish government invested in additional infrastructure and facilities at ports and airports, as I said, to enhance customs and border controls. This included the recruitment and training of additional customs officials and the deployment of necessary technology and systems to facilitate smooth trade flows. These investments aimed to minimize delays and ensure efficient movement of goods between Ireland and the UK. The Irish government introduced new legislation to address the legal and regulatory implications of Brexit. This included the withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union Consequential Provisions Act 2019, which provided for the necessary legal changes to accommodate the UK's departure from the EU. These legislative measures aim to ensure continuity and legal certainty in various areas, including trade, transport, and immigration. Recognizing the unique situation of Northern Ireland, the Irish government collaborated closely with the Northern Ireland Executive and relevant stakeholders to address shared challenges. They established structures for regular dialogue and cooperation, such as the North-South Ministerial Council, to ensure a coordinated approach in areas like trade, infrastructure, and the protection of the Good Friday Agreement. The Irish government launched extensive public awareness campaigns to inform businesses and citizens about the potential impacts of Brexit. They provided guidance on topics such as customs procedures, regulatory changes, and travel requirements. Dedicated websites, helplines, and information resources were established to ensure easy access to relevant information. And Ireland engaged in diplomatic efforts at both the EU and international levels to highlight its unique concerns and ensure that they were adequately addressed in the Brexit negotiations. The Irish government worked to build alliances with other EU member states and maintained open lines of communication with key decision makers throughout the process. These measures collectively aim to protect Ireland's economic interests, maintain stability on the island of Ireland, and ensure a seamless transition as the UK departed from the EU. The Irish government's proactive approach to Brexit preparations helped minimize disruptions and positioned Ireland to navigate the challenges posed by the new trading relationship with the UK. Before the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020, Brexit preparations were considered highly important for all affected countries, both within the European Union and the United Kingdom. The transition period began after the UK officially left the EU on January 31st in 2020, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and it allowed time for both parties to negotiate their future relationship and make necessary arrangements, and some did and some didn't. The impact of Brexit was felt across various sectors, including trade, customs, immigration, finance, and regulations. And both the UK and EU member states had to make significant preparations if they wanted to ensure a smooth transition and minimize disruptions. And these preparations involved a wide range of activities such as legal and regulatory changes, infrastructure upgrades, and communication campaigns. The level of preparedness varied across countries depending on their specific interests and the scale of their economic ties with the UK, or on the UK side, the scale of their understanding. Some countries with significant trade relations, such as Ireland and the Netherlands, placed particular emphasis on Brexit preparations. They implemented measures to mitigate potential disruptions and safeguard their economies. Overall, the importance of Brexit preparations cannot be understated. Both the UK and EU member states, kind of recognized the need to be well prepared to minimize the disruptions. But some understood it obviously more than others. The transition period provided an opportunity to make the necessary adjustments and to ensure a smoother post-Brexit environment, but some of the actors involved did not understand this. But that is one reason why I'm making this little series of the different countries and their Brexit preparations, to show that some really understood what was going on and some didn't. And if you're interested in another topic right now, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.